So, in today's episode of It's Going to Be Okay, we're going to talk about why homework problems happen. Getting your kids to be really studious, independent, really stop that nag cycle can be hard. For some reason, for some kids, it can be a challenge to get them to complete their homework on their own. And you really get stuck in this sort of like friction laden nag cycle. Who hasn't been there, right? I don't think there's any kid that's like, wow, I love homework. It's just some kids understand that you got to do your homework, right? And other kids are like, I'd rather go to a Chinese torture chamber than do that. I mean, for real, seriously. If you're not in our Natural Solutions Parenting group, go to www.drroseann.com/group and join our free group. We talk about all kinds of things. So let's talk about why homework is hard for some kids, right? I think the biggest thing we have to talk about is there an organic problem that is getting in the way? Meaning, is there a clinical issue? Does your child have ADHD, executive functioning issues? Maybe they're struggling with anxiety or depression or going through a period where things are hard or have dyslexia or a learning disability. You got to really first look at, is there something going on? We have to investigate why there is a breakdown, right? Homework problems don't just happen, right? So, why is this going on? So, first, is there an organic clinical issue that's getting in the way? Next, one of the biggest things that I find to be a barrier with homework is, you have to ask the question, do they understand the task? So, a lot of times, if kids have clinical issues like the learning issues, attentional issues, emotional behavior issues, whatever they are, they're not fully present in school. And so they're not absorbing or understanding what they have to do, right? So when you get home, is it that they wanna avoid the work? There's a low motivation, they're tired, they're hungry, they're sensory out, they're stressed out? Or is it really that you're almost doing what I call a reinstruction? You're reteaching something because they really just don't get it, right? So if your child is really pushing back on homework because they don't understand, really try to look at, do they not understand the task, like the concepts? Or do they not understand the instructions? That's a big difference, right? So if a child is absorbing in school, right, they might really not understand the instructions, but they understand, okay, this is a task about X, Y, and Z. I understand it's a history. I know it's World War II, whatever it is. And we're talking about, D-Day, whatever it is. I got it, right? Or is it your child's like, I don't even know what this is about, right? We got ourselves a problem on both of those. And if your child is struggling with instructions, what part of that? Did they miss the instructions? Is this a weekly assignment that's the vocab test and every time it's like a brand new concept? Either of these things really warrant some good communication with school because they're breaking down. And this is constantly showing up over and over. Now, in the case of inattentiveness, sensory processing issues, executive functioning issues with getting started, your child understands the directions, understands the tasks, but is having problems getting started. That is different from the first one, which really warrants lots of communication with school because you need support, right? Something is going down where they're just not getting it at school, which means they need more intervention at school. But with the latter, let's think about, what are things that can support them. And the next episode in this two-part one, we're going to be talking about interventions. So I just want you to start to understand it's not always because they just don't like it. And some kids, they just don't like it. And some kids don't know how to prioritize. Some kids have a learning issue, and some kids don't understand the task in the directions or the concept, right? And then those organic issues. So really start to think about why this is breaking down before we really put interventions in place, because we want to map that right intervention with the right problem. And if you're not really understanding, whenever your child is struggling with understanding, you're going to want to go back to school, get support, or I should say, you're going to want to go back to the school and ask for support. I find teachers to be great with ideas and solutions. They may be noticing behaviors they might not even know your child isn't absorbing. I mean, there is a lot going on in a classroom, and just because your child has an IEP or a 504, or maybe not, doesn't mean the teacher really understands what's happening at home. And they may be really grasping it at school and seeming to do well, but somehow there's some type of learning loss, memory loss. So go back to school, ask for some support, and put your thinking caps on together. Now, if you're looking for support from us, you can go to drroseann.com/help. We are map you to the right solution wherever you are in your journey. And stay tuned for the next episode where we dive into what to do with these homework problems.